have a brand new art supply. It's like wet graphite. I've never used anything like this before, and I don't know how this is gonna go. But I've also got the art prompt book out, so this could be a complete disaster.
It's easier to love when it's you by my side. Shining through the cracks like the first morning light. Feeling like a child through the days and the nights. Living in your...
I went for a run. Well, okay, I tried to, but my body's not having any of it. Like, I keep getting a stitch or my leg hurts. It's so frustrating. You know when, like, you want to do exercise and your body just says no? So I don't know what this hair's gonna look like. Yeah, that's about right. These are the extra large graphite, fine art graphite blocks from Derwent. And they look very strange. Oh, why don't we grab the book? Of course, this is a how much art can you make episode, but a little bit more vloggy. And I'm thinking maybe we should start with swatching, trying to get a little bit of a feel for them. Apparently, they're a bit weird. Ooh, this is a silly one. There appears to be a ghost lurking in the shadows. Yeah, that'll work. Gonna need a clip as well, otherwise this is not gonna stay down. These are literally huge blocks of graphite. We can use them like a pastel, draw with them. We can add water on the page, and we can use them like this, like a watercolor palette, I believe. Okay, why don't we first start doing some swatches? Well, that is odd. Kind of feels like in between a soft pastel and an oil pastel. I think we should also write the names next to them, because apparently once you add water, they're just gonna disappear. I have watched 2 little videos. Don't know very much about these. The weird thing is, you look at this and you just would not think that you'd be able to add water. It doesn't look like it's possible, but apparently we can. It's really quite messy. Like, in order to get all that excess, this might actually need fixative spray then. Do you know what? This lovely red-brown here is really unique. Well, there's so much excess. I didn't think they were going to be this messy used dry, to be honest. Burnt umber. We can always try it on the watercolor paper later. I mean, it is quite reminiscent of the Inktense pencils, which does make sense. It actually blends better than the Neo colors. It doesn't look all lumpy and waxy. It's a textured look. It's very odd. And then I think we can add like a little bit of water to each one. Kind of look like watercolor. Obviously ignore the fact it's completely the wrong paper, and I don't know what we're drawing either. I think these are going to be trees. We do want like a bit of sky over here. I wonder if they blend. Actually, it's kind of lifting. Do you see that? It doesn't seem like it's permanently down. It does blend. So it must stay wet for quite some time then. You know how water-based markers are really difficult to blend because they dry so quickly? Yeah, this seems like the opposite of that. Oh, I haven't left a space for our ghost. Let's try some of this lovely burnt umber now. Okay, this is a very strange medium. Like, it seems as though it's quite forgiving. You don't have to work super quick. And honestly, I thought there'd be a really steep learning curve. I thought it would not be something that would be good for beginners. I thought you'd have to have quite a lot of experience. This is really surprising. Ignore what we're creating. It's just the way that it stays wet is not designed for a wet medium like this, and it's staying wet. And it looks like there's already a shape there, doesn't it? Sometimes with art, it's best to just go with the flow, and if you see something in that moment, just add it then. Like it's meant to be. The other thing I want to do is try and see if they can blend, if we can create some new mixtures, which might work considering it seems to stay wet for even longer than watercolor. Yep, you can see the words are disappearing. This is the green. Pop a blue next to it. Let's see what happens. Oh, okay, what about brown? That other lovely brown. Kind of beginner friendly. I did not expect it from this set. If you can add water and it stays wet on the page for a really long while, and because of that, it's super easy to blend the colors, I think that means it's pretty accessible to most people. Like, it has the traits to be an easy medium, and the page is still incredibly wet. This is just an IKEA roll of paper, so it's probably gonna work similar, but that's okay. We are currently testing. Why don't we look for a different prompt? Okay, the next one is, what's this house? Something real or something yet to be seen? Let's draw a house. When you're testing new art supplies, there's no point using the best art supplies for it. You have to get a feel for them, see how you like to use them, and then once you figure them out, you can use the better supplies. Well, that's what I do anyway. If you have infinite money, it doesn't matter. Use the best supplies. Go for it. You do you. I don't. I want to try wetting the page and then adding the blocks. So like the wet on wet method, but technically dry on wet. Oh, that didn't do much, did it? It's a little bit softer actually. It didn't do what I was hoping it would do, but it is quite an interesting technique. It does look a little bit fuzzy. If that's something you like, if you like to use mixed media. Obviously this was a Christmas gift, but it does kind of feel like you're getting your money's worth because you're getting such a different supply. Like a pencil, like a pastel, like a watercolor. Yeah? Why don't we use that lovely red to pop a house down? Oh, Swanky, just ignore that. Door? Can you tell I'm not using a reference for this? What if we add various lines all around? If it stays wet long enough, we should be able to grab a different color and then do them next to it and it kind of blend. Maybe it's more like stone. Yeah, kind of like those pebbly houses. Maybe we'll add like a little frame. I quite like that this is negative space. It sort of ended up with a lot of white area. What about a blue door? It's a very odd color palette as well, I will say. A bit of brown. Oh, I've just realized this entire house is going to get cut in half, isn't it? That's why we need to put things either more left or more right in the books. I don't know why it's at such a jaunty angle. We're just going to ignore it. We don't have many colors, so why don't we try and blend a bit? But realistically, I mean, we're just going to blend brown and brown together. We're not exactly going to create a new mind-blowing colour, are we? If we pop lots of it down, is that blending? Blending is a strong word. It's done something, maybe made grey. The other one kind of like here, maybe. Do you see what I mean, though? Look, that can actually be blended out, almost. This is now drying. Like, it's not a harsh line. You can still work with it. This isn't even on watercolour paper or mixed media paper. This is on drawing paper. Over on this side now, get all of that brown down. It's not exactly mixing a new colour, but it is adding some quite interesting shadow. I believe it doesn't budge once it's down. All right, let's add the sky. We have one color, so blue it is. Grab a little bit of the gray, maybe the darker gray too, just to add a bit more of a harsh line. See if this is dry enough to add some kind of patterning. Just some little lines, I think, a bit of texture. We'll do the same on this side as well and then blend it out a little bit. Bit of a line here. It is still a little bit wet, so I'm hoping it will stay put. Oh, what if we, bear with me on this, what if we do this and kind of like stamp it on for a bit of texture? Went straight in the hill, but maybe a little bit around the windows, a little bit on the door as well. Although I do like how it looked before. I don't want to overdo it. Dark grey that we haven't really used. Kind of creating a marsh outside the house now. It's definitely moody. Look at all those colours. It's still wet. Love that we actually left the white in the middle there because they're quite rich colours and they're quite dark too, so I do think it'll be important to leave the light tones. Oh, that's kind of cute. It is so wet. I am really excited to use these. I think we'll come back in a few days' time, stick it in once it's dry and see what else we can create. These are so weird. I'll meet you back here in a few days' time. First up, let's cut this house in half and stick it in. Unfortunately, this old guillotine is very blunt. Hopefully it won't be too noticeable. Seeing as this is my own art prompt book, I actually printed out a sheet of little prompts. So all we need to do is cut it out and stick it on top. Oh, it's so easy and cute. Moving on to the next prompt. Which art supply is never used? Grab it and see if you're missing out. Well, well, considering we haven't used this art supply before now, which means we can just load up Pinterest and go for the very first thing, which just so happens to be this cute little mouse. I think I've only drawn one of these once before, and that was in a tiny little sketchbook. But with this color palette, I think we can make it work. And this time around, we're using the art supply more like a pastel, drawing and smudging.
Last night I traded you in for 2 blue check marks, but what Instagram recommends is only breaking my heart. You take up too much space on my feet and my rent-free mind. Gotta mute before I play and evict you from my screen time. Let's go on a date so you can break up in the fanciest way. You can go and rip off the band-aid. Could you please stay until I grab the first day? Let's
This is proving harder than I thought. Not because they're not working well as a pastel, they absolutely are, but because the blocks are so big, it's kind of difficult to make an edge. We have a tail, we have a mouse. It doesn't look like a line. With a little bit of water and a paintbrush, we can actually create an edge. And then maybe just add the pastel on top to make it look a little bit more like a dry media. If you're enjoying this video, why don't you go ahead and give it a like? It really helps the channel.
We can dance the night away. Spend a few final hours with you till you're off to be with somebody new. When we were dancing on your roof, felt like love in a movie, but the romance came and left, 'cause a movie always ends.
After many years, I finally have a new sheet for painting. Very much needed. The old one, the problem is I used it for cyanotype, and I also used it when we painted that hat with printer ink, and neither of those actually set. So every time that it got slightly wet, it kind of lifted it up. Why don't we cut out some new little sheets? It's actually a king size fitted sheet, but it has a couple of stains on it. So I think we'll get a few out of this. The corners will go in otherwise, so I think I'm gonna cut off the elastic, and we can always use that for something else. It's been washed. I do much prefer using a cloth. I used to use a different paper towel every time I did watercolor, and I feel like this is much more sustainable way of doing it. Anytime we're using paint, looking very pink today. That's not bad for the desk, is it? That's quite a nice size. It's nice and thin too. Yeah, that's gonna work well. We've got 5 little minis and also 3 other big sheets. I know, exciting, because that other one was getting so dirty. Today, this is the junk drawer. This is why I haven't been going in here very much. Oh, did it get moved? Here it is. Grab a sheet of cardi paper, because today I want to test the Graphitint on watercolor paper. See if it makes a difference. Some water. What about a really big brush like this one? Maybe a smaller one too? I've got to say, I have no clue what prompt we're gonna do today. Do we choose at random, or do we pick something where there's already stuff on both sides? Something like this, it'd be really helpful to stick something in because it needs to be stuck in anyway. Where is your happy place? Yeah, but the colors are very dark. It'd probably look like a depressing happy place. What else do we have? Dream holiday locations. It's a very positive chapter, the first one. How many colours? Not many. What do we do with that? What is opposite? Create something totally different. Okay, here's what I thought of. What if we have a black and white piece on one side and colour on the other? Say it was like a landscape, and one side is just the graphite colours and then the other side is with the colour. I don't know if we'd want to cut the paper first though. Oh no, what if we like have it blend? That could be cool. A landscape. We have green, blue and two brown red colors. Forest? This one here is nice. Maybe something like this. Turns out I have a lot of forests on my phone. I'm gonna take lots of photos. What if we had the path going down the middle and that's where it changes color? Let's wet this to begin with. This is kind of why I didn't want to cut the paper, because it will warp less being bigger. Plus the edges will kind of be cut off anyway because this is A4. I thought this was the color I liked, but that looks quite different. Maybe it needs to be activated a bit. So if this is the middle and that is brown, this is our path. It is very granulating, this has a lot of texture. Blue, ooh, okay. I forgot how bright they were. And the green, just want to add that now whilst it's still wet on wet. Try and get it to blend. Trees as well on this side. Oh, it's gonna look a little bit like Coraline actually, isn't it? Well, no, there's quite the leap, but that's kind of what it's reminding me of already. Just picturing what the other side will be like. You gotta imagine it. Now for the other side, we have two kinds of grey. I think this is the lighter version. Pop it here, but we do want it to blend a little bit. Because we don't have a sky blue color, the white is actually going to be the sky. A few more details to this tree. Oh, it's quite ominous actually. It is like very black. I'm used to Payne's grey, so I'm used to having a slight blue tint, but this is grey. Darker maybe? One side has potential. This is what it's looking like so far, and it's going to take a long while to dry, so I think we'll go grab a hairdryer. Popping on a little bit of Palover the Preach to keep us company, and trying to add some details with this big chunky pastel texture, kind of, hopefully. The only thing this piece of art is missing is a little bit more contrast. We need some darker colours. Just define the path, the trees, the edges. Though we do actually have to add the prompt onto this page. I think we'll just reach for a pen and write it down the bottom, even though that might also be getting sliced in half. What about a white gel pen? This is the one I've been loving lately. Unfortunately, some of those highlights got a little bit lost. Just want to add a little bit of grass, some squiggles, random little markings before gluing this final prompt in. And honestly, I can't believe how different each piece has looked. We've tried them wet, dry, various combinations, and it's a pretty fun medium. There are so many different ways to use this art supply, and it's a pretty cool idea, honestly. Final thoughts, if you like pencils or pastels and have never tried paints before, you want to dabble into that, this is probably the medium for that. Here's how the final piece turned out. Honestly, this is such a messy art supply, but it's kind of perfect for those muted, moody landscapes. Just gonna go ahead and spray that to set it in place. It's messy, there'll be transfer. Thank you for being here. If you've made it this far, why don't you comment down below a little green heart emoji so we know. Go create some art and I'll meet you back here in a few days' time. Bye bye.